What the hell is this episode? I thought Soul Crusher and Queen Banana were it. I thought after those two, we will never get another episode like them again. But then 2 days after I put up my video on those two, our Lord and Savior, our Lord and Dammer Tommy Boy Astruck, graced the world with another edition of Thomas's Unchecked Ego. And then it got worse. I didn't even see the episode and already I wanted to give it the red flames. And I did. Publicly. And because of my admittedly unprofessional desire to be proven right, I decided, you know what? Let's have another viewing party so I could rip this episode to shreds. So I assembled the viewing party group including Zeno, Ellie, and the reviewer, and even brought along online voice actor Mark Chegner II, who you might recognize as Lou Berry from my Captain Hard Rock review. And together, we all watched this episode and collectively ripped it to shreds and suffered. But not before sitting through Wishmaker. Yeah, I wanted to watch it after Mr. Multiverse, who unfortunately couldn't make it to the viewing party, told me that it sucked.
Like, the moment, Marinette starts feeling feelings for Luca again, and I'm like, no, we just got past this.
And what did I think of it? I actually kind of liked it. Yeah, it's got some moments. It practically opens with Chloe being Chloe, which basically confirmed what they said in Queen Banana was absolute BS, and if that didn't do it for you, then Gabriel Ogress certainly does! And the godforsaken Blueberry Snake Boy is peak music hippie in this episode. But honestly, it was kind of a fun time. The story's pretty relatable. It's incredibly stupid in the best way possible. The villain was really enjoyable. I've been wanting to see Alec get akumatized for quite a while, and it didn't disappoint. And hey, the Blueberry finally knows the duo's identities. Is it perfect? Honestly, no, but compared to some of the other recent episodes that I've seen, this is so much better, and it's a nice break from the amount of pain that has come from the later seasons of Miraculous. If you're wondering what I'd rate it, I'd give it a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 5. I don't know. But while I enjoyed Wishmaker, Simpleman on the other hand...
Yes, I'm Clara, and I'm a reporter in...
Oh my god! Let's just go through the story before I get a migraine. So, Marinette's watching Manon again. And Elenetta. And a little shit. Spoilers for my Chris Master review. And when Adrian calls her to help prepare a wing for his photo shoot, she's got another complicated plan to ask him out, part of it involving poop for some reason. But the kids ask, wouldn't it be simpler to show him your drawings and or ask him out? Didn't we already do this in Gigantitan? Like, seriously, this is a similar setup and maybe even the same moral as that episode. And spoiler alert, it has the same resolution. Marinette attempts to tell him...
The ice cream umbrella likes sewing perfume angels!
And ends up curling up into a ball and crashing on the floor, spontaneously exploding. So she went from being able to comfortably talk to Adrian to only getting a sentence out to just giving up on words.
It is evolving, just backwards.
But trust me, that's only a small drop in this ocean of black acid that Thomas is for some reason calling holy. Because she can't bring the kids, she decides to bring them to her grump of a grandfather, Roland, so he can watch them for her. Predictably, he loses control of them, Marinette doesn't care, he gets akumatized, and it's all rock bottom from here! Now, one of the key factors of Thomas holding up this episode in high regard, I'll get back to that, is the meta element. Probably the most blatant being the kids watching the Miraculous Ladybug anime PV in the actual series, because the heroes are so great that they have a movie of themselves. In a series already about themselves. Meta! Now, the PV has shown up in Sapides and would be prominent in Nana Maestro, but here it serves more of a purpose. As Roland is watching this, he's mostly confused at the movie, wondering who the main bad guy is, thinking Cat Noir is a girl. I feel called out here. However, the kids understand and pick up on it far better than him, telling him all about what's going on, who's good, who's evil, even saying that Ladybug doesn't break stuff, which is clearly a lie because she breaks her promise all the time in this series. Now, to give this episode a tiny bit of credit, this part can be a bit relatable. Now, some people might have a family member, not just a grandparent, but a parent, cousin, aunt, or uncle, who might watch this show or any other show or film that you like and not be able to understand it. They might be confused. And you, being so invested in this show, not only understand it far better than they do, but can converse with them about it, tell them about the story and the characters. The older generation can learn something from the younger generation. I can appreciate this detail. Or at least I would if it wasn't for Thomas. In that Twitter thread, he called the people who had problems with the episode haters and claimed they acted like Roland, saying they'd rather hate what they don't understand rather than wonder what they missed. Seriously, he's comparing the people who might find this episode boring, unfunny, lazy, or just plain awful to an old fart who's overwhelmed by how complicated the world is. A guy who'd rather watch the World Cup finals instead of the movie because it's simpler. A guy who'd prefer the heroes just going after Hawkmoth instead of them going after the villain who could be causing mayhem. A guy who doesn't understand that VHS tapes don't go into laptops. A guy who doesn't understand the show as well as children. As Thomas has said many times before. This is not laziness. They, and I say they and not just Thomas because this episode had 4 writers and 5 directors attached to it. They made this episode the way it is and shoehorned in meta elements to not only give it some reason to consider it one of the best episodes in the series, again, I'll get back to that, but to insult the freaking audience. I mean, you could say the same thing about Soul Crusher and Queen Banana, but even then, I could at least say that they tried to tell a story with that episode and give Chloe some form of development. I mean, yeah, the story and development were insulting, but at least there was something there. Simpleman is just a nothing episode that not only doesn't contribute any form of development or progression whatsoever, but exists to literally insult the people who hate it for not living up to their expectations. I can imagine some of those expectations were, you know, a good episode, and say that kids are more open to changes and differences. Another way of saying they accept any BS we throw at them, and thus understand the show better than the older audience who are, in Thomas's own words, obsessed with the shipping, which he called one of the driving forces for watching this show 5 months ago! I thought his holier-than-thou attitude on Twitter was bad enough, but then he had to inject his self-aggrandizing BS into the episode itself, likening us to whatever the hell you call this creation. And the moment the reviewer brought this up in the viewing party, the moment the first 2 meta elements Thomas brought up came to mind, that is when I began to resent this episode and everything it represents. Gotta be fucking me! I mean, how would you like to be compared to someone who thinks it should be simpler to just give one flavor of ice cream, or it should be simpler to just make veggie pizzas, or mozzarella pizzas in the Brazilian Portuguese dub. Of course, not making sure these people pay for the pizzas in order to keep your business afloat. Or it should be simpler for the villain to trade candy for the duo's miraculous. Or that the dialogue from everyone but Simpleman, and the kids because Thomas just wants to be a condescending asshat, should be simplified to Dora the Explorer level garbage that just made me want everyone to shut the hell up. And later on simplified to the point where they just give up on sentences altogether. Does that sound fun? Does that sound ingenious to you? And with all of this in mind, this ended up making the kids' portrayal and their inclusion for that matter feel patronizing. Again, I would have been fine if it went for the whole kids can teach older folks angle and leave it at that, But again, this was meant to tell us that kids understand the show far better than the older audience. Because why else would they be telling Ladybug and Cat Noir a good plan to take down Simpleman? Why else would they be left out of the simplification process other than Roland being a decent quasi-grandfather to them? I don't know. Why else would they, of all people, tell him a pretty insightful moral about how the world may be complicated, but you can still learn from it? Now, I've got nothing against the moral, and you know what? On some level, I could sort of appreciate the kids being a bit more tolerable here. This is probably the only time I can stomach watching Chris on screen. But much like the positives in Soul Crusher and Queen Banana, why did they have to be in this episode? And in this episode, again, given how he compared us to Roland, it almost feels condescending. As if to say, kids are smarter than you. Look at how these kids who just before were being complete rascals are able to understand the movie better than the old fart who we shall use as a metaphor for you. Watch them be upset by what you wish the show was. Behold as they're now intelligent and mature enough to deliver a pretty insightful moral that admittedly conflicts with the pre-existing moral of keeping things simple. Or maybe there is no moral. It's just a simple episode. With some animation industry and meta in-jokes that don't do anything to save this episode, and with the former, your target audience is never going to get. So are you trying to make a simple episode for people to enjoy and not read too deep into, or an episode that people are going to try and read too deep into just to understand the in-jokes that you won't explain? But whatever. It's a simple episode. I should just shut up and enjoy it for what it is.
She's always right, and I love her.
Nope, it still sucks! Yeah, even if I'm trying not to look deep into the subtext or the meta elements, even if I set my expectations real low, this episode doesn't have a single thing to save its life. The story? Basic as hell even for this series, and while that may be the point, it has its own special layers of bullcrap, like a helicopter crashing and everyone surviving, and Marinette deciding, hey, why not steal this guy's fishing rod and use it to break my crush's wing, and fix it again, giving me another chance to ask him out to a movie, assuming he's willing to after he finds out I was the one who broke his wing! Marinette, I need help! You're not important to me! Granddaughter of the year, ladies and gentlemen. The animation? Tank to hell. Basic camera angles, whatever the hell this is. This helicopter just having its Y-axis adjusted in the software. And this is just inexcusable. No! No! The humor? Sad and pathetic. These people having traffic trouble and Roger just being Roger, Marinette just being creepy, and seriously, what in the hell am I watching right now? The action? Depression worthy. I mean, I get it, it's supposed to be simple, but given the quality of everything else on display, it does not help the episode. The dialogue? Oh my god. I've got a lot to say about the rhyming gimmick in Frightening Gale, but you know what? I'll take that over the Dora the Explorer crap that we get here. I am not joking when I said I was pausing after almost every line of dialogue in the viewing party from here on out because, dear God, this dialogue is the bane of my existence, and I feel bad for all the voice actors who had to record these and all the people who had to hear these. Boo Boo Lucky Charm is a line.
Lucky Charm!
You can try and convince me that this episode is a masterpiece. You won't convince me. Boo Boo Lucky Charm is a line that exists. And do I even have to mention what they did to Hawkmoth? Do I have to?
I'm done.
Take his fucking powers! The dogs agree with me! Is there anything I like from this that doesn't require me asking why in this episode? Well, I like that Simpleman doesn't hurt the kids and actually protects them from being hit by pizza boxes. Yeah, he's giving Gigantitan and Queen Banana a run for their money for the title of worst villain of the series, but at least he's a decent quasi-grandfather to these kids, like I said before. I don't know. I at least got a smile out of this moment.
Hey! Shut him up! We're here!
Christina V said that she actually screamed a lot louder for this scene, but Ezra had to dial her back, which was kind of amusing to find out. Of course, I got some pleasure out of this moment.
Hey, Simpleman, take this!
But then it's followed by Boo Boo Lucky Charm, and now I wanna die. I could find it funny that the duo think it's simpler to go after Hawkmoth, whereas Hawkmoth finds it simpler to just stay in his dome. And at no point does he ever think it's simpler to just go after the heroes and get the miraculous. They went out of their way to make Hawkmoth a complete joke in this episode, but they couldn't even go for that joke. Well, at least they didn't make him into a world ender. Oh, for the love of God! So, in conclusion, look, I've got no good joke for this. I freaking hate this episode. I know that there are some people who love and will defend these episodes, and to my friends, yes, those people exist and they depress and horrify me. I know that some people will find this episode funny or wholesome. I'm sorry, I don't see anything wholesome about this. All I see from this is hate. Hate for the audience, hate for the idea of good storytelling, even hate for other animated works as a whole. This is an episode that deliberately half-asses itself into simplicity and stupidity, all the while using meta elements not only as a crutch to hide the fact that Thomas and the rest of the writing team failed to deliver on the promise of every episode being as impactful as Chaplon, which, side note, nice job sticking to your promise, Tommy boy, but uses said meta elements to call us senile, old, confused, stuck in the past. Kids understand better than you. You're too old to enjoy this if you hate it so much. So shut up and stop criticizing our work. And it not only causes whatever credit I can give to be rendered moot, but it also makes Simpleman's presence and the kids' role in the episode that much worse. Thomas and the rest of the writing team, if you wanted to write a simple episode, that's fine. If you wanted to write a show for kids, that's fine. But that's no excuse to deliberately limit the effort on display. Why not try to keep the adults entertained with good writing and a story that doesn't seek to insult us? And no, animation industry in-jokes doesn't count as good writing. And you know what? I might as well acknowledge one of the defenses to Thomas's statements. That there are some people who expect every episode to be like Chaplon or Glossiator, hoping it'll be emotional, or it'll focus on the relationship, or even contribute something to the plot. And personally, I don't think it's fair to expect that from every episode, if Thomas didn't set up that expectation in the first place. But putting that aside, while those factors may help an episode, if it's not going to be emotional or impactful, it at least needs to show us a damn good time. And even if I don't look too deep into the subtext, this episode was a painful time. The story is just Gigantitan, except worse. Marinette is at her absolute worst in this episode. Simpleman is just a humiliating villain. The animation is subpar, the humor doesn't land, the attempt at the simplicity moral not only conflicts with itself, but again, has no freaking payoff, and it's honestly worse than the first time they attempted it, and like I said, I highly doubt that there even is an attempt at a moral, or at least an intended one. And dear God, I wanted to rip my hair out with every combination of words the characters uttered upon the world being simplified. And what makes it so much more hateable is that first tweet. Of all the episodes to call one of the best, aside from Origins, including episodes like Pharaoh, Simon Says, Collector, Riposte, Gorizilla, Zombie Zoo, Glossiator, Heroes Day, Oblivio, even freaking Chaplon, which I myself don't like, but at least I could understand. He chose to call this one of the best episodes in the series. And in another tweet, an episode for the connoisseurs. This, a filler episode that serves to massacre everyone's dignity and was made to insult older fans who are obsessed with one of the main selling points of the show, and he calls it an episode for animation fans to hold up in high regard. This is the equivalent of standing in front of an auditorium, hosing the audience with puke and calling it a performance of Ave Maria. Just Why? I have no idea what Thomas wanted me to enjoy about this episode or how to enjoy it. Did he want me to just sit back and enjoy it as a simple episode? Well, the other episodes from season 1 were just as simple and, you know, they didn't suck. Did he want me to see the meta of it all? Well, with the exception of the end jokes, I do. And I hate it even more now, so congratulations, Tommy boy, you've ruined this episode for me. And my friends were in the same boat. Zeno hated it, Mark hated it, Ellie thought we summed it up pretty well. Even the reviewer, at the time of recording, made a video ranting about this episode.
I swear to God, I'm gonna go ballistic!
I do not recommend that you watch this episode for any reason, whether you're a masochist, a completionist, or just generally curious. I can't even recommend that you watch it on an unofficial source. It's not worth your time or effort in any way, shape, or form, unless you're able to pick apart the animation industry in jokes, or at least pick apart every single reason as to why this episode is the masterpiece Thomas is trying to claim it is. And if you're able to do that and have Thomas confirm that you're 100% right on the money, I will make a video on that. I promise. Do I think this episode is worse than Soul Crusher and Queen Banana? Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's just as bad as those two. But if you want the episode that I actively hate the most from this series, Simpleman is it, people. I mean, yeah, Lady Wi-Fi and Frightening Yellow are my arch nemesis episodes, but at least I could sort of appreciate them in a love-to-hate sort of way. This isn't just mediocre, or even so bad it's good. It's outright loathsome, because it's an episode trying to put itself on a pedestal alongside other highly regarded cartoon episodes like Channel Chasers, Band Geeks, Heart of Ice, and Sozin's Comet, when it reeks of the same arrogant contempt as a Teen Titans Go episode meant to target the critics, like Finally, A Lesson, Return of Slade, or Teen Titans Roar. But at least Teen Titans Go knew better than to present those episodes as works of art meant for the animation industry to observe and admire, unlike this callous, cynical, crude, pretentious, miserable excuse of an episode. So to put it simply, fucking thing sucks! So that was my opinion of Simpleman. What did you think of it? Was I right to call out Thomas's BS? Or am I just like Roland and need to shut up? Leave a comment in the description below and be sure to like or dislike. I know YouTube removed the dislike counter, but I have an extension on my computer that allows me to see the dislikes, so yeah, I am paying attention. And in the spirit of Christmas, I figured I might take a look at a Christmas-related piece of Miraculous media. So for the 2021 holidays, Miraculous decided to release a Christmas short on Walmart.com. And while it's nothing to really get worked up about or pay much mind to, it's just an ad for toys, it does have a few things I wanted to pick apart. First off, stormy weather? I mean, I still like her, and at least it isn't Lady Wi-Fi giving me PTSD, but what happened to her to get so worked up on Christmas? Second, Santa freaking dies! Third, why are the duo flying really slowly? I could accept them running on walls, but why are they flying like Superman? And keep in mind, they are not wearing the galaxy forms that allow them to fly, which, by the way, what did I say about making them fly? Fourth, stormy weather freaking dies! And fifth, Ladybug likes Cat Noir's pun. I have a feeling that the people who worked on this weren't the same ones who worked on the show. And I really do mean that, seriously, the dialogue here just feels unpolished. But like I said before, it's a promotion for toys, and I don't see any reason to get too worked up about it. But I'll take it over Chris Master and Stormy Weather 2 any day of the week. And that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to Zeno, Ellie, and the reviewer for joining me in the viewing party. And a huge thanks to Mark Chegner II for also joining me. If you're into Miraculous and Ruby comic dubs, be sure to give his channel a watch, and be sure to subscribe to him because he has released a Miraculous Ruby Christmas audio drama, so be sure to give that a listen. You might like it. You even get to see yours truly get the crap beat out of him for being an absolute jerk to these characters. So if you hate my guts, check it out for some sweet karmic justice. Seriously, Mark, I know I thanked you to hell and back, but seriously, thank you so much for having me on. It was an honor to be on here, and I can't wait to be a part of future projects with you. So with all that said, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the Frightening Gale review. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And I will stay hidden. That way I will win easily.
And I shall continue to die on the inside because this episode is fucking garbage!